I submit that the Niners need a defensive end. I mean, they got a lot of free agents on the defensive line. They could re-sign some of their guys, but they really don't have a second pass rusher to complement Nick Bosa. It was supposed to be D Ford. It was never D Ford. He's gone. Buckner's gone. Armstead's a good player, but that's not the kind of guy he is. They need another pass rusher, preferably outside. Who do you think they could sign?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I think Robert Quinn's going to be allowed to walk away from Philadelphia, but he didn't have a very good year this year.
No.
I've heard people suggest Yannick Ngakoue, but I don't think Ngakoue. I mean, Ngakoue is going to get paid a ton. He made $13 million this year. Clowney is out.
PFF is estimating 2 years, 25 for Ngakoue.
Okay, first of all, I like the depth pieces they have. The first thing I would do is bring back some of them. Ebukam, I really like. Amenahue, I really like. I'd bring those guys back. I absolutely would. And who's the third guy? I mean, even Kerry Hyder, I would consider bringing him back. Just because I don't think he's not going to cost you a lot. But Jordan Willis, I think might get a big offer. But if he doesn't, I'd bring him back. I definitely would try to bring back my depth pieces up front because I like those depth pieces, but they need a difference maker. And I don't know. I don't think you can get this in free agency. I think this is going to have to be a draft thing. The good news is there's a lot of really, really exciting edge rushers in this draft, and I think some of them are going to be there in the third round. And there's some really good ones. I love Ali Gay at LSU. And I'm a huge fan of the guy from Eastern Michigan who played what's his name, Jose Bautista or something like that. I think he's really good. A little light, but really fast off the edge. But there's a bunch of guys, and I was looking at the All-Star games this weekend. I watched all of them, and I would say there's at least 10 really interesting edge rushers. Rhett Hall's son, Cade Hall, who played for San Jose State. I could see them going for him on day 3. There's a lot of really Jose Ramirez is the guy I'm thinking of. Plays for Eastern Michigan, and unbelievable ability to bend the edge and get to the quarterback. There's Derek Hall from Auburn, Zach Harrison from Ohio State. There's a bunch of them. Isaiah Foskey's my favorite from Notre Dame, but he's probably going end of first round. And, they don't have a first or second round pick.
Yeah, to me, it's pretty tough to find an edge rusher after the top 100 picks who's going to be good enough to contribute as a rookie. Although you can do it, and maybe they can. But I do think they should probably look at free agency, too. If they could get Yannick Ngakoue, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy – he's great. He's got 65 sacks in his career. And while he doesn't necessarily generate a ton of pressure, he finishes. With Bosa and Armstead on the line, he could walk into a ton of sacks. Also, there's one more guy I think has potential. Agbanya Okoronkwo from Houston. He's 6'2", 250. Yeah, he's a good player. I think his win rates are pretty high. He didn't have a ton of playing time. Now maybe DeMeco Ryans pushes to re-sign him. He's a Houston Texan, but that's another guy too. I feel like you can find pass rushers on a 2-year, 1-year prove-it deal, then I should look at that.
The guy that I love also is Zach Allen. Zach Allen from Arizona. What do you think of him, Grant?
I like that. I like him.
Yeah.
A little bit big. How big is he?
He's more like 275,
yeah,
probably.
A little bit bigger.
But, he could probably lean out in this system, but he's just got a tremendous motor. And then also,
I was looking at something like D Ford's build. How when we saw Drake Jackson for the first time, we were like, wait a second, this isn't what we were expecting. It's something like what we were expecting. Is what I'm looking for.
Do you remember the Philly game a few years ago when they rolled in on, I think it was on Monday night, and their D-line dominated, and they had a guy named Jannard Avery.
Oh yeah.
Who gave the Niners fits.
He did.
I mean, he's 27. He's a little short, but he can really rush the passer. And he played at Memphis. He's hard as hell to block. He doesn't give you a big target. And, he signed for 1 year and $1 million last year with Tampa. So, I mean, he's a guy that they could probably get cheap if they're just looking to, to add to their mix. I would be happy. I'll say this: if they can re-sign their depth pieces, Amenahue and Ebukam and Jordan Willis and those guys, and then address it in the draft, I'd be okay with that because I think they really need to address offensive tackle and defensive tackle more so than defensive end. If they can get those guys signed, that's a big
and it doesn't really matter what position they get. They just need a secondary pass rusher. And if they feel it's Drake Jackson, then their draft and free agency will reflect that. Because they seem to know last offseason that Banks and Talanoa Fungo were going to be good. And while we were all like, what are you going to do with these positions? Brendel too. They didn't panic. And they stuck to their guns. We'll see if that's how they feel about Drake Jackson. Because I don't know. The way they talked about him at the end of the season, the way he was just straight up inactive makes me feel like I don't know exactly how they feel about Drake Jackson going into the season. They may feel about him the way they felt about freaking Ambry Thomas. I don't know.
It's a good point because Drake was inactive, I think, 3 times in the last 4 games or 4 times in the last 5 games. I will say this, just, talking to Drake a few times and just kind of looking at his build, it's clear that he could easily put on 15 pounds of upper body strength through an off-season NFL weight training situation. I mean, he's definitely has the frame to add muscle mass.
Do you know how old he is?
No.
Right now, 21.
Now is he 25?
21.
He's
Drake Jackson. He's 21.
He's really young.
Yeah, he's so young. So, you can't – he could grow into his body. He's probably the youngest player on the team.